Arkheim Realms of War is the most free-to-play time-based strategy I have ever seen on the mobile phone, and its 10-week server cycle keeps the game exciting until it is over. So today I'm honored to give you guys 214 sponsored tips and tricks for this game. If you like strategy games but are frustrated that a lot of them are so pay to win, you are going to love this game because no one is allowed to use money to speed up the production of troops or resources. Now they can speed up their buildings, which can affect their troops and resources, but island progression is limited by moon cycles, which allows free-to-play players to catch up before all of the most competitive realms ascend to the next island. Furthermore, this game is 100% a team effort. If you do not like working with a team and kind of want to do things on your own, you don't want to play this game. This game is like a 15v15v15 ad infinitum chess game. I'm really hoping to get 14 of my IRL friends to play this game with me. Obviously, the most important decision you need to make is choosing a realm. If you have your own friends, that is ideal, but otherwise, this number represents the island they are on, which if the server is new, like the one that was released today, then they'll all just say Island 1. This number says how many orbs they have, which represents how much work they've put into building and upgrading towers, and then this number represents their military strength. I'll explain all of these more in detail later on in this video, but for now, the higher numbers on these three things, the more active the clan is. But then of course, the first time you see this while you're in a tutorial, you won't see any of these numbers, so unless you have friends that you are going to play with, just go ahead and select the recommended realm, and then you can change it back later by clicking on your face, and then this bottom tab, and then apply to as many realms as you desire. But before we talk too much about realms, which is the most important part of this game, let's talk a little bit about your town. This is the part of the game that might seem like a lot of other games you've played, but there's actually quite a few differences. The first one is that you can't be raided or lose any of your resources. No one can attack your town or get your resources, so the amount of resources you have stocked up is limited only to your storage, but I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. The first thing you need to know is your town hall. Your town hall, just like most games, really just limits what other buildings you can have in your area. You need to get this up as high as you can so you can have lots of other types of building. The first building you need to be aware of is the house. The house basically just increases the amount of population you have, and that population serves kind of like a resource in and of itself to be able to build other buildings. The second type of building that you can build is the storage facility, and by upgrading the storage facility, you can just have more resources available to you, which at first might not seem that important, and honestly it isn't that important because you're wanting to use your resources as you get them, but over time you are going to want to make bigger and bigger purchases, and you are going to need the storage to be able to get up to that point, and then eventually you'll get more resources than you can spend right away. So it's nice to have a really big cap so that your resources can stock up, and then when you get on, you can use it all on bigger purchases. After that, you will be able to build a barrack. Barrack allows you to train troops. This is typical of a lot of these games where you need to be producing a lot of troops to keep your power level really high so you can win bigger battles and therefore get better rewards. One thing that is important to keep in mind when you're first starting off is to build a lot of the very first unit. The first infantry unit of both dwarves and elves has a 70% bonus against fighting goblins. You are going to be fighting a lot of goblins when you first start off, so it is important to have a lot of these units. About this time, you will start noticing that there's a lot of obstacles in your way. Clearing these obstacles are not only important for being able to put your buildings there, but they also give you resources. So as soon as you are able to unlock your fourth builder slot, make sure to start clearing obstacles on a consistent basis. You start out with 2 builder slots. Getting the 500 sapphires to unlock the third builder slot and then another 500 to unlock the fourth is not that hard. Mainly you are just going to want to be completing lots of quests, which often give you lots of sapphires, and I would recommend not spending any of those sapphires until you have both of your builders. That being said, if you want to support the devs and hurry up this process a little bit, the most lucrative package in the game is the $1 purchase, where you get a free builder and you get some sapphires and some other rewards, making it to where you're going to get that fourth builder pretty much within the first hour of playing the game. As I mentioned earlier, this game does not give a lot of advantages for spending money, but out of those advantages, this is probably the biggest one, and it is only $1. $1. The next building you will find on the list are way down here, where you have to conquer a little goblin horde, and then it opens up a slot where you can put a lumber yard, a mine, or a crop field. These produce more resources and are therefore something you want to prioritize. That being said, if you are part of a really good realm that knows what they're doing, then I would recommend making all of these iron mines, because out of the 3 resources, iron is going to be the one that you are looking for the most. Again, assuming that you have a really good realm that are able to get resources in other places. But then again, if everyone in the realm does that, then you will end up having too much iron, so you need to have different realm members specialize in different resources. And then that brings us to the next building, which are these foundries, which increase how much iron you produce. There's also one for lumber and there's one for crops, and you obviously want them to match with the resource that you are producing. So if you're working really well as a team, you might want to have like 40 to 45% of your people doing iron, and then the other 50 to 55% splitting up crops and lumber, and that way you are able to produce a lot more as a clan. Then there are 3 more buildings, and they're all kind of unique. You first have the market, which increases your supply production. This is going to affect your realm supplies, which I'm going to be getting into later. You then have your soul forge, which allows you to use your soul energy. You can use your soul energy to do more of the dungeon, which I'm going to explain here in a second. You can also upgrade rare items, which you get usually in that dungeon. And then lastly, you can upgrade your troops, which does not give huge bonuses to your troops, but each army is limited in how many troops they can have, so every little bit counts as far as making the most of your army. The way to get soul energy is through PvP. Anytime that your army is fighting the army of another real player, you are going to get some amount of soul energy, but I'll again talk about that a little bit later on. Before that, I want to talk about the goblin camp and dungeon. You can see over here next to the mine, this goblin camp keeps respawning over and over and over again. Every time you expel it, you get more rewards for expelling it, and you get more rewards per hour. Lots and lots of resources, so it is definitely worth doing the goblin horde as much as you can, because it gives you a lot of resources. When you fight this, and really any fight in the game, you will lose troops. Those troops end up becoming part of your fallen army, and that army lets you conquer these different areas, which is where you get a lot of the items that you can then put on your heroes. Equipping these items to your heroes can make a huge difference. For example, this Vortex, who uses all inventory, I have put 4 different inventory items, making her power go from 200k to 245k. I've also been able to increase the initiative of her infantry so that they get to attack first, therefore killing some of their troops before they even get a chance to hit mine. But there are a ton of different items. Some of these items allow you to block damage, others of them let you do critical strikes, some of them give you extra experience, and then some allow you to move across the map faster, allowing you to get somewhere before someone else does. Honestly, I could make an entire video just about items and the best ways to use them, but this should give you at least an overview on what you could do with them. Another thing that requires conquest are these little side areas, because they'll have little goblin camps like this that are guarding them. By conquering these goblin hordes, you will unlock these new areas where you can put more buildings on them. But they also have more debris that you need to clear, but that also gives you more resources. Lastly, you will notice in the middle of the base this package where you get all of the supplies from your realm. This is where you get a lot of your supplies, and you can also get tributes when you conquer other realms, that they will give you a portion of what they get. So that's it for this section of the town, but before I get out of this menu, I want to explain how to get to other things from this menu. This tab includes all of your warlords, which you get more and more as you level up. This tab has all the active missions that are going on within your realm. This tab records all of the pens where people are communicating on the map. This tab records all of your towers, what level they are, and how many orbs they have. And then this tab records the portals that are active, which I'll be explaining a little bit more later on. This tab includes all of your builders, what they're working on, and whether or not they're idle. This tab includes the production of all of your barracks and allows you to access them there. This one includes your cavalry production, and then this last one includes your artillery production. You also have this button right here, which opens up building new buildings, going to the map of the 4 islands showing all of players' statistics. This one shows your personal statistics. This one shows a log of everything that's been going on since you last looked at it. And then this one lets you search. While you're here, it is important to always click on here and select your daily quests, because these daily quests can give you a lot of extra rewards. Also, completing these missions give a lot of really special rewards. Things that sometimes you can only get through PvP, you can get here instead. You can also get a lot of sapphires here, which you can use to get your builders or rush certain projects. The second to last tab is clicking on your face right here, which I already mentioned earlier. The bottom tab allows you to look for realms, but you get an overview of how you're doing with the top tab. You can level up your hero with the second tab. The third tab is just an inventory of scrolls. And then this fourth tab is used when you are applying for that realm, when they accept your application or when they send you an invitation. And then the last tab is your realm tab. The first tab includes your 15 members. You can only have 15 members, so you want to make sure each one of them is a good one. This second tab includes your realm diplomacy. This is where you have your allies and where it records your current and previous wars. The third tab includes all of the votes that you've done as a realm. The fourth tab is where you create announcements and it records your old announcements. And then the last two tabs are really important as we interact with the map. This particular tab allows you to work with all of the resource hexes on the map, and this one allows you to interact with all of the towers on the map. But in order to even understand those tabs, you need to click on this map button, which then brings you to the world map. When you first start out on an island, you are going to have just your main tower. All of your troops of all of your realm will be in this main tower, and everyone has 3 barricades around their tower, and they have 1 trading grounds. They also have 4 different resource hex tiles. Every realm can start out with this if your realm leader places it correctly. Everyone in that realm is going to want to do a lot of things. First, you're going to want to take out all of these barricades every single day. As you take them out, they will get harder, but they will give you resources and they will give you lots of rewards and experience for your troops. You can also do the training grounds up to 3 times a day. You can see here that 2 of my teammates are waiting, so I'm going to click join, and I'm going to send one of my troops to join them on this quest, and they're going to fight each other. Now, because the training ground is taking the highest and the lowest versus the middle 2 of your teammates, fighting each other as if it's a real fight and giving you the experience as if it's a real fight, but your troops don't actually die, allowing you to get all of the experience without any of the consequences. This makes using the training ground really important, because a hero that is really leveled up can be over twice as effective as one that is not. So I have 4 tricks for you on the training ground. The first one is to use items that give you extra experience. Obviously, you're not worried about winning the fight, so if both you and your teammates use XP items, y'all will get more experience for every enemy you kill. The second tip is to use a hero that has a really high morale. A hero with 40 morale will lose 40% of its troops before leaving the battle, and a hero with 75 morale will lose 75% of its troops before leaving the battle. The more troops that are killed gives more experience, so if you choose a hero with higher morale, you are giving your teammates more experience. And then the third tip is to equip your hero with the highest ranking units you can find. You can see here that killing a level 1 infantry only gives 1 experience, whereas petrifiers give 2, slaying Manus give 3, and an int gives 6. So if you have an army full of ints, then they are getting 6 experience for each one of those units they kill. And then my last tip is to choose heroes or items that resurrect some of your troops, thus making that fight last even longer. Now, you will want to coordinate with your teammates, because everyone can only do it 3 times. You have 15 people, so that's 45 times, and you have to have 4 people at a time. So the most that a realm can do it each day is 11, but you don't get all 3 back at the same time. So as long as you're working well as a team and don't exclude one person too quickly, then everyone should be able to get in all of their rotations just by taking it slow throughout the day and making sure that the people that haven't done a whole lot get an opportunity to get in there when they need to. One of the most important things to keep in mind as you're expanding your realm is how you place your towers. Most realms have no clue what they're doing, so they just put all of their towers right next to each other, because that is how you have to do it when you're starting off. But once you realize how to play the game, what you'll do is you'll build 2 or 3 towers, and then you'll start deconstructing the ones that are not needed in between, allowing your realm to expand really far out there like this, which allows you to get more of those hex resources. Each one of these hex resources accumulates troops or resources and then gives it to everyone in the realm every 24 hours. This is where you're going to get most of your resources, so your realm needs to work together and manage where you are putting your towers to get the most amount of these resources, and help by donating to these resource hexes so that everyone in your clan ends up getting more of those. Ideally, you would get as many of these maxed out as you can so that your realm is getting the max amount of resources, and then you can click on this tab and use a scroll to boost it so that everyone in your realm is giving even more resources. I'm going to move back to the world map, but before that I want to show you guys something that's kind of important about the 4 islands that you are moving up to in this 10-week server cycle. The first island is the simplest island. This is the only island for the first week of the server. You can only get your resource hexes and your towers up to level 5. You can only have 2 towers, so a realm can only have 30 towers. You can't have portals. You can't declare war with people and conquer their towers. It is kind of a more simple island, allowing people to start building up the momentum so that the real fight can happen in the other islands. When you get to the second island, everyone in the clan can have 3 towers, totaling at 45, and all of those towers and all of the hexes that those towers get can get up to level 8. This makes your clan expand really far, which can make it hard to travel with your troops across the map. So that's where a portal can come in handy, because you can actually just send your warlords there instantly and not have to worry about any travel times. This island is also where you can start having war. You can actually take over another person's tower. It's a long process. It takes 6 hours to take over that person's tower, but as long as your realm declares war on that realm, you can attack them and take that tower. But in order to get to this island, you need to get 7,000 orbs. You can obtain orbs several ways. So the first way is just your towers automatically produce orbs. The bigger the tower is, the more orbs it can hold, and the more it produces every hour, which is a very slow way to get orbs. The second way is to conquer one of these goblin towers, which once conquered, you get all of those orbs distributed among your realm towers. After that, you can raid other people's towers, which is successful. You can get half of those orbs distributed among your realm. And then lastly, if you're at war with that clan, you can just conquer the tower. This is a little bit longer process, but you get all of the orbs, and you can even keep the tower itself if you want. But of course, you have to be careful about this, because if you get into too much wars, you can end up losing too many troops too quickly. And then another realm that isn't losing troops can end up being more powerful than you, and then come and take you guys out while you are weak. On that note, another really important thing to keep in mind is that in battle, while the attacker does have some advantages because they're deciding where to attack and when to attack and those different things, the defender can often have a huge advantage because they can see that person coming and see what troops are in that army. They can then pick troops that respond to that specific army. For example, this guy has plus 70% when fighting against elves, so you can see, oh, it's an elf army, I'm gonna move around my units to where I counter elves. Or you can say, oh, they've got a lot of artillery, or they've got a lot of cavalry, and then you can build a specific army to counter another army, thus making you way more powerful than the amount of resources you spent, allowing you to take a lot more casualties, get a lot more experience, get a lot more rewards, and they go home, limping with a lot of lost troops, a lot more than they needed to. And that is one way that you can really strategically keep your army, keep your power, by picking fight. There is a defensive advantage if you're paying attention to the map and you're watching where people are going. And then after you get enough orbs, you can conquer one of these ascension gates. By conquering the ascension gate as a realm, and as long as you have enough orbs to ascend to the next island, then you will end up advancing into that next island. It takes 7,000 orbs to get to the second island, 50,000 orbs to get to this island, and then 180,000 orbs to get to the last island. Each of these moon phases are also timed, so you can't actually get to the second island even if you get 7,000 orbs right away. You do need to wait a week. So you can get ready, you can get everything, but once you get those 7,000 orbs, you need to, just sit on it and work on building your realm up with resources and your personal bases. And then when you move to that second island, you're going to start over with the little middle thing. You go at it, and then you're going to try to get 50,000 orbs. You get to this island, but that last 2 weeks. So even if you got the 50,000 orbs within 3 days, you need to wait. You got to just build up and make sure you've built up a lot of army. And this island is 3 weeks, and then eventually you move up to the last island, where there's actually 2 moon phases on this island. The first one is just like all the other ones. You go at it, you get everything that you need, you establish your place. But then once that moon cycle is over and you go into the 5th moon cycle, it still takes place on this island. But 4 Anvils of the Eternal appear on the map, and your realms have to go fight for them. So you got to vie for positioning, and they open and close, and you got to make sure they get enough points. And there's going to be a lot of fighting. And the point of that, of course, is if you get all the points, then you win this round. Every server is 10 weeks long, and if you win that 5th moon phase, then you won the whole server. You get all the trophies, and everyone can see that on your profile for when you want to play again and again and again. You play as many times as you want, and whatever achievements you make, and each server will show up in your profile, and people can go and see, oh yeah, in the last cycle, this is where they did. That's the type of player that I want on my team. So that's the game in a nutshell. It's a really cool concept. I love the fact that it's less pay to win than a lot of those other games. It is very activity to win, which is going to end up eliminating me, but it does have a lot of strategy. I can see how, because I was being strategic, I was beating someone who was, just spending money and didn't know what they were doing. Or I just enjoy the feeling of growing in power, even if I'm not at the very top. And then I love that it is such a team dynamic game. You cannot be an all-star in this game without being an all-star team. An all-star without an all-star team, you won't even notice them. It'll be like, oh yeah, I guess you're more powerful than your team, but you're worthless. Everything is about the team dynamics, and I love that aspect of this game. So I hope you guys enjoyed all of these tips and tricks, and I hope they help you on the battlefield. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.